thought the world was ending, and I thought ice was covering the world, and the world was freezing over.
Tulsa Talks is the podcast that is inspiring people to have everyday meaningful conversations to gain perspective and help the world.
Have you ever met anyone that had schizophrenia? Have you ever been into a hospital and seen it? Or maybe you've just seen it on television or on the movies. We're here with Elijah Payne today. Elijah, how are you, man?
I'm doing fine today, actually, Greg. Nice of you to ask.
Yeah. So I met you at a local gym here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was telling you what we were going to do for the community. And you're a very interesting person, somebody like I've never met.
I get that a lot from people.
Yeah. And I think we should actually embrace people where they are and ask them how we can help them. And I think that you and I might be able to help by shining a bit of light on what your life has been like and how it's been currently living.
Well,
So tell us about what you told me about a few months ago with your episode or maybe just tell us about your life.
my life was just normal.
What it was.
It was normal at first, a young boy, and then you're raised in teens, and then you step in one wrong puddle, and you get your shoes wet, and you seem to just let everything go.
What was that puddle that you stepped in? Because that's a common theme here
The
on.
puddle I stepped in was addiction.
Okay.
Addiction to just minor drugs, marijuana, whatnot, and I openly admit that. I have no problem admitting that, and I feel like
What caused that step?
well, that step was just
Was it for fun or was it
was
to
recreational. I was
Okay.
young.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
11. So it was pure pressure, practically. Probably,
Okay.
most likely.
So it was social. It wasn't to overcome some kind of pain or whatever. It was just
No.
being cool.
It was just to join in the social activity.
At 11 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's people that's done it earlier and whatnot, but I mean, it's not, definitely don't recommend doing it at such a young age, or honestly, don't do it at all if you don't need to.
Yeah.
If you have no reason for it, then there's no reason to do it.
Yeah. And so you stepped into the wrong step at 11, started smoking marijuana with your friends, and then how
Then
were your teenage years after that?
teenage years, they spiraled even worse, even much worse. I ended up getting addicted to much other things that I won't even mention. Just
You don't want to mention them, or if you want to, we'll certainly listen.
it was, just higher narcotics like speed and stuff like that. It was just it wasn't good. It changed my life, changed my brain. Like, I didn't eat correctly for years and years, which resulted in my body and my stunted growth, which I believe anyways. I'm not a doctor. I can't foresee or say for sure, but it's been helping exercise and whatnot. So I feel like if I could have been exercising the majority of my life instead of messing around or fooling around, instead of just living a normal life.
Yeah. So a good, healthy, productive life, in your opinion, is better than that other.
100%. Even if it's just for the moment. The one moment can lead to 2 moments. 2 moments can lead to 3 moments.
Yeah. I know people that have been in prison because of a seemingly one wrong decision.
Yep. One wrong step and you're just behind bars. Yes.
So you were telling me that this drug use and such could have contributed to
I remember. Yeah. You're talking about, yes, I could have definitely contributed towards mental illness, which I've experienced hands on, and still experience it to this day. I have symptoms or just slight symptoms, not anything too strong. My medication keeps me down for the well being and holds my thoughts down. But all the drugs I did definitely did not contribute very well to my brain matter. So it definitely is a link towards anything that my brain has an issue with. Besides a couple things I think I was born with, maybe that were um hereditary, as they say. Like haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but feel I have symptoms of it, and it's all linked together with schizophrenia. So they're all
Schizophrenia.
well, that's still not technically what I have. I have schizoaffective bipolar disorder, is what they call it.
Okay.
And I was diagnosed in 2019 with that.
What kind of experiences have you had with that
Schizoaffective bipolar disorder. Schizoaffective. In the communities, they call it SCZ
Okay.
for schizo short.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of communities on Facebook. You can find them that will help you. And they helped me bring light to a lot of things that I thought were abnormal in my life, and no one else had effect, or no one else had experienced. Till I find some pages and read, and you find all sorts of things, and there's people doing the same things, patterns that you recognize yourself doing, and then you realize, wow, maybe I've had this longer than I've known, and you start thinking maybe I've had mental illness for longer than I've been diagnosed. Maybe perhaps it could have been a reason for why I went down into addiction. There's multiple scenarios and outcomes that could be possible, but
So, what kind of experiences did you have while you were?
in psychosis,
Yes.
well, it was a tough. I was in Parkside. Well, before I went and got admitted, I was totally against it. I did not want to get admitted. I didn't think I was crazy. I thought the world was ending, and I thought ice was covering the world, and the world was freezing over. I thought the world was ending. I was playing a video game in my room, just on Xbox. My mother told me, I didn't know till afterwards, after my psychosis and after I broke through, came back home. She told me, she said I'd be in the bedroom playing with the controller, but the TV would be off and I'd have headphones on talking to people. just
Wow.
just bizarre things like that that would happen, and then she'd find me in the fetal position, and then I had I bought a gun at the time, and like I just had it around, just sitting around the house, and
Like a pistol?
yeah, thankfully my mom took it though, because she started realizing that I
Not a
was
good
I
combination.
was having symptoms of schizophrenia because my uncle has it. He had it, I don't know how many years before me, but he has active schizophrenia. His is a lot worse than mine. His was untreated for about a year. So I feel like that made it a lot worse for him. So his symptoms are very much more vivid still. Like he'll around, laugh, ha ha ha, ha, just things like that, just in his own head. But he mean no harm. And but if you tempt them or push them, they can snap easily. But thankfully, I'm pretty high functioning, and my medication works very well. His medications, he's been through very many, and a lot didn't work for him. And what he's on now is helping. But it's hard to say what happened to me, if it was going to happen to me already or if it was not going to happen at all, because it happened to him. So it could be hereditary, because wouldn't all drug addicts get schizo if it was from drugs? You would think. Maybe not, but I believe that it definitely sped up the process. I would think.
So, how old were you when you had your first schizophrenic
Well,
experience?
it's whenever. Well, it depends. Question is,
knowingly that you were like
like,
flipped the freak out
well, there were
and
times that I was in drug-induced episodes, and then there were time where I was in a normal manic episode from no drugs, and I wouldn't consider the drug-induced hallucinations or psychosis to count
yeah,
because I only want to count the one that happened from raw
sure,
organic material
right.
in my brain. So
How old were you
I
when
was
that happened?
it's 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
So 5 or 6
experienced.
years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I have problems with my memory and all sorts of things. It helps. I get nightmares, that I'm on medicine for PTSD and stuff from what I seen in the hospital and stuff. Because I would be in my room. At first they have me in the rooms with other people, but I would wake up and think people were trying to kill me and trying to come torture me, and they were torturing my family. And
And just all in your brain.
not in my brain, not just in my brain. It was the physical realm. I was in my room in the
But you were
hospital.
seeing things that weren't there.
Yeah, I was in my room in the hospital, but it wasn't the room in the hospital. I was in another place. And then I kept seeing just all these people dying and whatnot. And then I'd get angry and I'd be over these people that were sleeping, yelling at them. And then they finally put me into the room by myself or whatnot after a while. And it just went crazy from there. I thought aliens came down, and I thought the FBI was trying to get into the building, but they couldn't by law because it was a hospital or something like that. So they all were just waiting outside. There was a UFO, and they were coming to get me, and they got me.
And how
And
real was this when you were experiencing it?
it was 100% real, but it felt like I was in a video game at the same time, if that makes sense.
It does. It does.
Because everything was so bizarre that it felt like,
Bizarre and vivid, and
yes, yes. It
were
just
there
gives me
different
chills
colors than
talking about
normal?
it.
Was there different
Oh
colors than
yeah, oh
normal?
yeah.
Was it
The
like more vivid?
skies, the skies would be different colors. There'd be different planets in the sky. And at one point, whenever I first started hallucinating and the world was ending, I thought it froze over for 12 days, and I thought we all lived through it. So whenever I got admitted, I was telling the lady, I was like, "Well, they were saying that I was
And this was
crazy."
before you were admitted that you were having
Mhm.
some of this.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and
How long was it before
it
you
was
what
2 weeks I was in there in psychosis for
no, so before you were admitted, how long did
probably.
your loved ones allow you to experience that before they admitted you to the
They didn't
hospital?
really know. My mom got me in there pretty quick. Like,
Okay.
it was probably a couple weeks, maybe a
Couple of
week,
weeks you were dealing with
maybe
this
not even.
or
Maybe
whatever. It was a
I
period of time.
time was gone. Time was gone out the window at the time, because
No way, you lose track of time when you're on a trip like this?
no, time becomes infinity
Yeah.
practically, and every moment in there would feel like years in real time. It was weird, and I did see lots of torture, but there was also beautiful things. Like I told you, like when I seen in the sky, there was stuff, and and I just kept seeing my friends come in there, and I would walk out of my room, and then I'd walk in the hallway, and then I'd see another room, but it wasn't the room. It would be at my friend's house, and I would see them in there. I thought my friends were in the next room next to me, and I thought they had like me being a pothead. I thought they had all their weed plants and stuff on in there, and they brought them with them. Like I was thinking this place was like a hotel or something, and the people were next door, my friends. And then I just remember it switching up so fast, and I can't even get everything. It's so mumbled and jumbled because there's just so many scenarios in my brain, so none of them can come out in order. All
Is
this
this
stuff is
kind
disorder. It's
yeah.
like it's not in order. These are just bits and pieces of it. But the first one was the world being frozen over. I know that for a fact because that's whenever I went and got admitted.
Yeah. Do psych psychosis people or people that have had psychotic episodes, do they typically remember some of that or most of that as far as they can remember? Does that make sense? Because I don't know
I
what I don't know unless I don't know it, or I know that I
I
don't.
do believe they do. A lot of people that get the breakthrough is what I call it. Is whenever you break out of psychosis and you can recall on everything. Like I remember I struck one of the people there, and I remember apologizing to him whenever I came to, but he knew I was. I thought they were trying to steal my kidney and sell it because I thought they were harvesting people's organs in the hospital. And I would see the security, not the security, but the janitor walk by, and this he would practically have like a it was obviously a cleaning cart, but I would see, like, weapons and utensils, like torture utensils on and stuff, and then I would, like, see my friends getting tortured. They were trying to kill me because apparently I had, like, poisoned somebody or something, so I was having prosecutory delusions as well as hallucinations as well, and it was just adding on, so I was thinking, like, they were trying to kill me, and then, eventually I tried killing myself, so I took a pencil while I was in there, a colored pencil to my jugular about 3 times, and luckily I didn't I hesitated and it didn't penetrate. It was just bruised and broke through the skin a little bit, and that's when they had to start giving me crayons and had to they had to bring someone from the children's care unit up there to watch me under surveillance 24/7, even though right after I did it, I had came through and I was like, "Y'all don't need to watch me anymore, I'm sorry. I don't know
But how do
came to
they?
me."
Yeah, but how do they know if you?
Exactly, they did their job correctly. I applaud them for that. Parkside was very helpful, and there was a lot of ladies there that were very nice, and, like, they would wait at the door to protect me because I would sit there and cry because I would tell them that my mom was just tortured and they killed her in the parking lot because she would come visit me, and then every time they would leave, I'd look out the window and I'd see them getting jumped, and then I'd see him getting hung up, and my stepdad was hung up and his arms were skinned. My mom had all her limbs cut off, her legs, arms, just walking on nubs, like crawling on the floor. And then there was a friend I had, he actually came up to the hospital and seen me. It helped me come out of hallucination because I seen him getting boiled alive inside of a hot tub. They put him in chains and put him in there and boiled him. And I remember seeing like his face just melted, disfigured,
I can't
and
imagine living through that
and
experience
and
and
then
it
they
being real to me while I'm experiencing it, and then remembering that I experienced it. It seems like that would be tough to live with.
it's an ego death as they call it. It brought me in a long ego death,
What does
and
that
I
mean?
it means it's hard to explain off the top of my head. It's the only way I could explain it when I looked it up. Got a lot to do with like people that do hallucinogenic like shaman rituals and stuff. It's yeah, I just lost track of what he was talking about. That happens too a lot.
Yeah. So we're talking about the living with the aftermath of that experience in a normal state of being. So you can remember that happening and how
Hmm.
horrific it was when it was happening.
There was times where I was myself. There was times where I was in third person view, and there were times where I was in other people's bodies, and it all went from my memory bank. And but it only went back so far. I realized because there wouldn't be memories of certain people in my life, just certain people that I had seen on my phone or social media or on TV or something like that.
S-
Psychosis was pulling memories out of my memory bank and just creating scenarios.
Sure. Yeah. 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 You were being your own production manager of a video game type production in your head that was in like more reality than what we're experiencing right now is what
Yes.
I'm hearing.
Yes.
And you can remember that. I can't
I
imagine.
remember being in it,
Yeah.
and this was
I
my
can't.
second time going to the hospital. I went there 2 times, so I had another break. and another psychosis experience. The second time I went, they all remembered me, and I asked for my own room right off the bat because I already knew. And I just went from there. It would just get worse, and at random times of the day. Some days, some points of the day, I'd be okay, and I think things would trigger me or something, or just thoughts in my head that would trigger a whole reality explosion, kind of like. And then I kept thinking people were fish hooking me with fish hooks in the hallways, like out the doorways, and I
Like
kept
on your back or something?
no,
Or
my groin right here, and
oh
specifically, and
wow.
then they would pull them, so I kept feeling like hooks pulling on me here, so that I'd sit here holding on invisible threads, trying to stop them from pulling on them, and I kept trying to tell my mom whenever they came to visit me, I felt there was a razor blade. It was like a long razor blade inside of me, and I could see it moving, and I could. It was just, it's crazy.
So how do you live with those memories now?
A lot of people
Because
tell me
that
to.
would not be okay for most people to have those memories. There are people that go over, into combat and have post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD,
Mhm.
and it sure seems like that could be a potential for a person that had experienced
It is
that.
indeed. That's why I take it's called Prazos, and I think that's what one. It's a helps for
Anyway, you
nightmares
take a
and
medication.
PTSD. It helps for nightmares and PTSD because if I don't take it, my nightmares are practically the same horrific events. It's always violent, gory, and I think it has a lot to do with my lifestyle that I lived whenever I was younger, watched lots of scary, gory movies and whatnot. I guess I don't know. I guess it just stuck with my brain and mixed in with the psychosis and whatnot. It's hard to explain it all sometimes because
I think you're explaining it great. What I've heard is you've had some tripped out mind trips after you started doing some drugs earlier in your life that
mhm,
don't know if it contributed to it or not.
mhm.
And now you remember those psychotic episodes and you're medicated so that you don't have to deal with that at nighttime because those dreams are horrific things that you don't
Well,
want to
I'm
experience, but the medication's helping you not have
well,
those
the medication
dreams.
is also helping me stay out of psychosis because I would be in active psychosis right now if I didn't have my medication. As we're talking, probably would not be. I'd be in the hospital.
Wow.
Definitely. It's scary to think about, but at the same time, after being there, it felt like 100 years. So I just became used to it,
Okay.
and I came accustomed to me. I would just do the exercise. It helped. Exercise helped a lot more than I even realized, and that's what I've realized now. Going to the gym is that it's been helping me any type of delusions or any type of symptoms that I have. Uh, 'Cause every once in a while, I'll get it like a trigger or something that'll bring back the memories of stuff like that, and it'll be a new person, like one of my loved ones. Usually, it chooses my loved ones to harm in my brain, and it's hard to talk about, especially hard to talk about to them because it's embarrassing. It feels like know that my mind produced those bizarre thoughts or
Yeah.
sick
Yeah.
thoughts, you
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean, of them dying or getting tortured or etc.
So now you're taking medication for like anti
Yeah,
schizo episodes,
antipsychotics.
antipsychotics. And then you're also fortunate enough that that helps you with your nightmares and you're going to the gym. And you had said something to me. I don't know that
I
we've
was
gotten it on
on
the podcast, but
I was on blood pressure medicine, but going to the gym and everything and eating better helped regulate me off of that and stuff
good.
because at being on these medications made me bloat up huge fat. And that's why a lot of people don't stay on their medications and end up back in the hospital is because gain weight and then they'll get self-conscious and stop taking their meds.
Okay.
Like I had a stepsister, she died from diabetes, and she, I think, stopped taking her medication and was uncompliant, as they say, and ended up dying. So I wasn't very close with them, so it didn't like affect me super harshly at the time, but later on in life it kind of just brushes my mind.
Yeah. You had told me something about your psychotic groups
Oh
or
yeah, there's plenty groups on, if you can go to Facebook, you can look in the groups, there's schizo groups, there's schizoaffective disorder groups, and there's also by borderline personality disorder groups, which is totally another thing, but it's hard to diagnose because it's a gray area. All these mental illnesses and everything, it's hard to chart them all because they're all linked together and you can't really, you'll find symptoms of this one within this one within this one. Like I see symptoms of plenty other things inside of me, yet I'm only diagnosed with what the doctor was able to diagnose me with at the time. You get what I'm saying?
I do, I do. And these groups, they're on Facebook. Are they also on
I don't know if they're on
and
any
live
other.
people or I mean, do you guys ever meet?
No, I mean it'd be not that I know of. It'd be nice. I think there should be a group session type um place for people that have
Yeah,
schizophrenia
yeah,
and stuff. Like
yeah.
we did group therapy inside the hospital whenever you're in there. And it's crazy. You'd see different people. There was a couple people that were on my level of psychoticness, and then there were some people that were just hearing things here and there and stuff, and then there were some people that was just there for uh what's it called, recovery, drug recovery.
Mm.
For
Mhm,
so I
mhm.
was in with all sorts of different people, but they usually seen me as the crazy one. Yeah, it was bizarre. It was mostly horrific. It was like living in a nightmare for as long as I was there. I think they were killing the people, and then in
Yeah.
the
How
morning time,
long? How
I'd see the other patients come back, and I would think they were androids.
wow. Wow.
Then I
How
seen
long were you in the hospital? Do you
about
remember?
2 weeks each time. I went 1 month, and then a couple months after that, I ended up back in there like 3 months. Don't know why. I was at a camp with my friend. We went camping, and then I guess like I started having memories after that of stuff that we didn't do at the camp. Like I texted my friend, I was like, "Hey, do you remember us grilling ribs over the fire at the camp?" And he was like, "No, we did not do that." And I was like, "Okay, good, thank you. That's all I needed to know." I got to the
Wow.
point where I could take picture with my phone whenever I was hallucinating to see later on to see if the photo was in my phone to see if I was hallucinating or not.
So you kind of know when you're having those
Yeah,
now.
I can see it when it's coming now, which is I'm thankful for it. And I think those groups that I told you about had benefited a whole lot in that because they help tell you about their own triggers, their own sicknesses, and what's going on in their life. And a lot of them are bad. It's uncensored, you know what I mean? Like there'll be people in there talking about some pretty crazy things.
Graphic stuff.
Yeah, as long as it's under Facebook's community, it's law or standards.
Cool. Well, how do we as a community help you and people like you that have had these experiences? Do you have any
Just
idea?
to understand them, just to take their take excuse me, take their word of advice, and believe them. Like some of these people just see them on the street. Some of these people will be talking to themselves, and people like they're crazy. I see them, and I empathize for them. I see them, and I see myself could be there. I could be there. Most people don't think that it could be them
But it could
because they've
be.
not been through it exactly.
It could be them. It could be any one of us at any
And
time.
anything to help with them, honestly, is just there's nothing we can do but just kind of help them get institutionalized, help them get on their meds, help people. I- It's hard to do because then you have people on the street and then people call the cops on them, and then you got police brutality. No, normally here they're pretty good about the mental illness here in Oklahoma, at least in Tulsa. They're pretty good about not breaking their arms and hands or whatnot, crazy stuff. But that you'll see on YouTube and stuff. That's just from hearsay, though, not experience.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming into our podcast studio and having this conversation. I hope that it's helped someone see life from another perspective. I can't imagine experiencing this for myself, but I know that this could be me. This could be you.
Can
Let's
be
love these
anyone.
people the way they need to be loved.
We are here to help you discover or develop your passions, how you can use them, and why you exist. How can we help you help others better?